You can't be the only person creating revenue. You want to create other revenue creators. That way you can expand their roles and stuff like that. If you needed to walk away, you could walk away. If you needed a breather, you could need a breather. If you needed to take a long nap and you needed a day off, you could do it. Burnout is terrible. But burnout that you create by yourself as an entrepreneur has to be the absolute worst. Okay. One of the things that I see as physician entrepreneurs that happens is, maybe we work a job or we're partners in a practice or, whatever that is. And, the demands become so much, the administrative burden becomes so much, then we get burned out. And then our solution is, I cannot work in this system. This system is toxic. This system is not supportive. This system does not allow me to live life on my terms and all of these things. So I'm going to become an entrepreneur. And usually when you start playing the entrepreneurial cards right, things start to fall in place where you're in control of your time, you're in control of your calendar, you determine how much or how little you want to work, the revenue starts coming in, you start getting in team members, and we're like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And then your business starts to really grow. And then what I have found that people find is that they're like, I feel a certain way. And I don't like the way I feel. And it feels exactly the way I felt when I was burnt out and left where I was to start my business anyway. They go from burnout to honeymoon back to burnout. Okay. And today, what I want to do is I want to show you how to stop building a business, stop building a practice that owns you. Because when you build a business that owns you, burnout is inevitable. I'm going to make this super practical. I'm going to give you 3 things. I could give you 5, I could give you 7, but I'm going to give you my best 3. And what I really want you to do is I want you to treat this like a workshop. I want you to take these 3 things. I want you to audit your business, get them out of your business. So you find yourself building a business that is sustainable, where whether you're growing, whether you're scaling, you have a life, you're not living in burnout, you're not wishing you could throw your business away, because this is the deal. I have seen many people throw their businesses away, right? It started working, all that stuff. They're like, I can't take it because I don't have my time. I'm not able to work out. I'm not able to spend time with my children. I'm not able to spend time with my family. This is no fun. I don't want it, right? And then they throw it all away. But when I look at it, I'm like, man, this had so much potential. And not potential like maybe somewhere in the sweet by and by. I do the math, I run the equation. I'm like, this has so much potential. But the owner didn't know to protect himself or protect herself from the things that will turn this into a nightmare. Okay. So I'm giving you this. So as you take your business to 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, 8 figures, all that, you're putting yourself in a position where you can enjoy the journey. And the bigger your business grows, the happier you are. Okay, let's look at 3 things. Now, there are 3 things when I see them in a business, I know this person is like full speed ahead, heading to a business that's going to burn out. They're building a business that cannot survive without them, right? Which means burnout, which means they can never exit it and stuff like that. I train my people, for instance, in the EntreMD Business School, the frameworks I give the students, these frameworks are designed to help them build businesses they can exit from. And many people in the beginning, I'm talking about exit, they're like, I'm only a year in. I don't think I'm going to want to exit. I'm not exiting now or whatever. But as they go on their journey and they find that they're needing time and they find that, oh my God, I need to take this time off. Life happened. Or I need to take that time off or whatever. It then dawns on them the beauty of what they've built. They've built a business that does not own them. They built a business that doesn't depend on only them. All right. So let me give you those 3 things and I'll give you the solution for all 3. The first thing that sets you up to have a business that owns you, the first thing is you're the only revenue generator. Okay. You are the only revenue generator. The day you don't show up, there's no revenue to be had. And many people build their businesses this way. Many people build their businesses where the only person bringing in money, the only person doing the heavy lifting is the owner. Everybody else is kind of just there, right? Either they're doing random unrelated tasks or they're doing important tasks, but they're serving the patients and clients. They're not necessarily creating revenue and stuff like that. and you're not intentional about this, you can build a business doing 500 in revenue. You could even you're strong enough. You can build a business doing 7 figures, and you are the only revenue generator. This is called the beginning of a nightmare. It may not be. It's not one of those things that are urgent and important. This is not urgent and important, but if you don't address it, it becomes urgent and important. Okay. Okay. What is the solution for this if you're the only revenue generator? And I want you to think about this. And don't say, oh, yeah, there are many of us. No. If I was gone from my business for a week, if I was gone for 2 weeks, would everything come to a halt? Or would things be able to still go on? Right? Okay. So what do you want to do with this? What is the solution? You want to start thinking about replacement from day one. And when I say day one, I mean from the beginning of your business. But if you didn't think about it in the beginning of your business and you're 10 years in, and you're 15 years in, you're 20 years in, today's day one for you. Okay. You start thinking about it. What is my replacement? And it may not necessarily be for your role. It could be for your role, but it's also like, how can every person in my company be a revenue generator? So I will give you 2 examples. Okay. So one, this was a doctor in the EntreMD business school who was like, okay, so I need to make up for the fact that we're not going to have any revenue because I'm going to go on vacation. I'm like, what? Like, no, you have a whole team and they're still going to be earning money and they're going to be coming to the office. And so I said to her, I said, okay, you have team members. What revenue generating activities can they be engaged in while you're not there? What could they be engaged in so that they are creating revenue, even though in this circumstance it's probably going to be like revenue, you will still have to do the delivery, but they can drum up the business, right? I said, what could they do? And initially she was like, I don't know, usually I just, I have them, attend some trainings, I have them clean. I was like, there is no revenue to be had from training or cleaning, right? So they should train, they should clean and create revenue. What could they do? And then so she started thinking about it. She's like, well, I have a number of referral sources. They could go deep in those relationships with those referral sources. And there's some people who don't refer to us yet. They can go meet with them. I'm like, perfect. Then she says, there are some people who have outstanding balances. They can call to collect on those outstanding balances. I'm like, wonderful. And she says, oh, we have people who are overdue for appointment. They can call all those people so that by the time I get back, my schedule will be full. I'm like, fantastic, right? And she says, oh, we have this vertical that does not require a physician. They can execute on it so they can fill their schedule and do that then. I'm like, there we go. There we go. And so here she is. She goes on vacation for 2 weeks. And for those 2 weeks, her team members are there generating revenue every single day. So she can have her 2 weeks in peace. So she's not setting herself up for burnout. So in a way, her practice can work without her. And then she comes back and the people that were there created revenue. It's a way of thinking. Now, for my private practice, I've had a private practice for the last 15 years. And when I started with the intent that I was going to give this 10 years. And after 10 years, I was going to retire. Okay. And it's not a recommendation. It's just that for me, I knew that there were so many things that I needed to do with my life that I was not going to be in an exam room 9 to 5 till I was 60. Or 70. I just knew that was not a thing. How did I know? I knew. All right. So I'm not recommending it. I'm just sharing my story. What I did was, from the beginning, I started thinking, and I think part of it was, I read E-Myth Physician and just got this whole concept of, there's you, the technician, which is what I do as a clinician seeing patients, and then you, the manager, right? Managing the team, all of those kind of things. And then there's you, the entrepreneur, the owner, right? And there are 3 different roles. And your job is to kind of build a business asset, not to build a job. Okay, so I think I learned that pretty early on. I started thinking about that earlier. But mind you, at this time, when I started thinking about this, number one, I didn't even think I could build a 7-figure practice. I had been an employed physician. I was this person who was like, I'm going to be really smart. I'm going to be a great doctor and I'll have a great salary. Entrepreneurship was not something I thought about. At this point, I didn't think I could build a 7-figure practice. And at this point, I did not think I could pay another physician. The reason I'm telling you this is I'm telling you this so you can start from where you are. So even though I had those limitations in my mind, I had those limiting beliefs, what I then said was like, okay, regardless, I set a date. I was like, I'm not 10 years, I'm done. 10 years, I retired. And I'm so grateful. I mean, we hit that at year 9, but I was like, I'm retired. Okay. And I also want to point this out, right? Like, I hear people say to me, this is a total sidebar. I hear people say to me, oh, my practice is driving me nuts. I want to retire yesterday. Okay. And I always say this, and I always say this. If you want to retire in a profitable way, You want to make sure that you're doing it. You give it the runway that it requires. This is a multi-year process. It will not take 10 years. Okay. I told you where I started from, but this is different. Like on EntreMD, we have so many resources to help you and stuff. It does not need to take 10 years, but you do need to give it some runway. It could be 3 years, it could be 5 years, depending on how strategic, intentional you choose to be and how willing you are to eat really big frogs. Okay. So, because there are frogs involved. Okay. The first thing I did was I was like, okay, I can't pay a whole physician's salary. I could not even conceptualize having a multiple six figure salary on my payroll. I was just like, forget it. But what I did do was I knew I could pay a doctor for a day, right? I knew I could pay a doctor for a day. So I found a doctor who, didn't really want to do all this stuff. She wanted to work a day a week, right? And so she wanted to work a day a week. I was like, that is fantastic. And so I hired her really early on. This must have been the first 12 to 18 months of my practice. I hired her and she came and she worked every Friday. But guess what that did for me? It meant every Friday, every week, I had a long weekend. My practice didn't own me. I could travel for 3 days. I could travel for 4 days. I could spend time with my kids. I could do all of these things. And I was started training myself to bring other people on, right? And so I did that. I brought somebody on 1 day a week. Then I brought a nurse practitioner, I think it was on 3 days a week, before I then hired my first physician and all of those things. And I just started creating multiple revenue generators. So I was not the only person creating revenue. Okay. So you can't be the only person creating revenue. You want to create other revenue creators so that way you can expand their roles and stuff like that. If you needed to walk away, you could walk away. If you needed a breather, you could need a breather. If you needed to take a not long nap and you needed a day off, you could do it. So that's really important. The mistake here is being the only revenue generator, and the fix is start thinking replacement from day one. Okay. All right. Number 2 is, this is subtle and many people miss this. Oh, but it's such a drain. It's almost like every time you move away, your business will come to a standstill, right? If you don't understand this concept, and it will be so mentally draining. I cannot explain how mentally draining this is. And that mistake is being the only problem solver. Okay. Being the only problem solver. So whenever anything breaks, Dr. Una, how do we do this? Somebody else saw a patient and a patient's parent is upset. And the only person who can do the conflict resolution is you. Dr. Una, this mom is mad. You have to call her. There was a shipment of vaccines that needed to come in and the shipment didn't come in. Dr. Una, the shipment didn't come in. What do we do? All of that. It is, even thinking about it is so draining. It's so tiring, right? The way you fix this is a problem. Okay. The way you fix this is you train your people to think. You train your people to be problem solvers. You don't make all their problems go away. Okay. So I learned this from Brian Tracy. Okay. If you have not read the book, Eat That Frog, 21 Ways to Overcome Procrastination, excellent book. I recommend it everywhere. In fact, it's a bestseller on Amazon. And I think I'm the reason, because I've always recommended it to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people. Okay. He talked about, like, when somebody comes in with a problem, that see them as if they had a monkey, right? They had a monkey on their shoulder and they came to you and told you about it, and they took their monkey and left their monkey on your table. So imagine people keep doing that and doing that and doing that. At the end of the day, you have 25 monkeys on your table driving you nuts. My approach then became, when somebody comes and says, the vaccine shipment didn't come, what do we do? I'm like, what would you like to do? And so when I started doing that with my team, they're like, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. I'm like, perfect. So why don't you go think about it, come up with 3 solutions, okay, and come tell me, and I'll tell you which one and why. Now, it takes more time, quote unquote, to do that, because it's easier to tell them, go do this, or forget it, I'll handle it, or whatever. I don't do that. And the more you do it, the more stressful your life will become. I don't do that. Now, what does that do? Number 1, it makes them think. And if you can have people who have hands that work and brains that think, you are a blessed employer. Okay. Number 1 is it helps them think. Number 2, if you are disciplined enough to tell them what you would do and why, then everyone becomes a masterclass you're giving them in problem solving. You are transferring the way you think and the way you problem solve to your team, which is a magical thing, because it gets to the point where they're like, I know what Dr. Una will say. I know what Dr. George will say. I know what they'll say, because they've done this with you time and time again. So when they come in and say, oh, I don't know this, blah, 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 I see it as a monkey. I'm like, you stay right there. You hold your monkey. Okay. You hold your monkey. I'm not taking your monkey. I don't want your monkey on my table. Okay. And then I'm like, you go figure it out. You come back. You tell me. still holding your monkey, and I'll tell you which one and why, and then you go execute. And so I did this in my practice and did it and did it. I did it with my team in EntreMD and did it and did it. I do it with PMT, all my companies, so much so that I'm surrounded by problem solvers. I'm surrounded with people with high quality thinking. I'm surrounded with that. Okay. So being the only problem solver is a nightmare. And so the bigger your team gets, the more stressed out you are, the more mental clutter you have, the more you want to throw your entire business away. The problem is not the business. The problem is you're the only problem solver. Okay. So the biller has a problem. It's you. Okay. The coach has a problem. It's you. The VA has a problem. It's you. Like, no, have them think. Have them think. Okay. Number 3, third problem is that we create a culture. So this is a personal culture for the owner. We create a culture where work time bleeds into lifetime. Okay. Work time bleeds into lifetime. So what does that mean? What does that look like? Okay. You're at work in your practice or in your whichever type of business you have, and you see the patients all day. This happened to me. It was a turning point for me, right? I see the patients all day. I was gone in the morning before my kids came, got up. I hadn't seen them all day. I got home and my kids came to hang out with me. And, hi, mom, that I'm like, okay, hang on, let me go take a shower, da, 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 da. So I do all of that stuff and I come out and I settle in because I still have 20 undone notes, and I start charting and they come back in. They want to come hang with mommy and all that stuff. And I'm like, shoo, go away. I'm working. In that moment, I said, okay, they woke up in the morning. I wasn't there. They went through their day. I wasn't there. I got back home and I'm also not there. And I'm like, there is something terribly wrong with this. And so I remember Brian Tracy talking about this. And he said that if you don't focus, I'm really paraphrasing here. If you don't focus, if you're not diligent, if you're not a good steward of your hard time, which is when you're at work, then you're going to have to give up your soft time, which is your lifetime when you're at home. Now, I'm going to tell you the solution. I'll tell you what I did, but I'm going to break it down in a way that you can get it, because it's a way of thinking. So for me, I had to start asking myself the question. And, I'm a big fan of asking better questions. The question then became, how can I do all my work at work so that when I come home, I can be at home? And usually the answer to that is you can't, because there's so many patients, you can't finish all your notes, blah, 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 da, da, da. Okay. But the truth of the matter is when there's a will, there's a way. Okay. So for me, my solution then became I would get to the office, and as I saw the patients, I would chart. And I had an hour for lunch, and I would use 30 minutes of that hour. And if there are any outstanding notes, any administrative stuff I needed to do, whatever, I would do it in that time. I would document as I went. And the goal would be when I'm done, I'm done. And if for any reason I'm not done, my office opens at 9:30. That's a conversation for a very different day. I would rather go into the office 30 minutes earlier and finish then than chart at home. And that became the end of me charting at home. I think after that, I probably charted at home 3 or 4 times. I would not chart at home. And when doctors would come work with me, I'm like, let me show you how not to chart at home. In fact, they would fight me for access to the EHR, like for remote access so they can chart at home. I'm like, guy, it's better for you to learn how to not need the access than ask me for the access, right? And to be fair, you may say, but Dr. Una, I need time for whatever. Fine. You may say, I need an extra hour after work to finish everything I'm doing, then I'm going home. That's fine, but you've made the decision. You've made the decision that this is when I'm going to end my workday, and this is when I'm going to start my lifetime. Whatever that is, then just don't allow the work time to bleed into the lifetime. It's not about stopping at 5. It's about stopping when you determined you're going to stop. Now, another way this shows up, especially for my cash pay people, is when they start their business, they say, call me anytime. I'm like, what do you mean call me anytime? You don't want people to call you anytime. What are you talking about? Right? Call me anytime. So people are calling them for non-urgent things, late at night and all these things. And they feel obliged that they have to do all this stuff. And so they're working all the time. So when you do that, You're not giving yourself time to be separate from your business. You're not giving yourself time to lean into family and truly be present. You're not giving yourself time to be on vacation and it's truly a vacation. You're not giving yourself the time, the space to do any of that. You start feeling like you're handcuffed to your business. That's the way it will start feeling. And I don't want that for you. That's what makes people throw away their businesses. Same thing with a coach. And people may tell you the only time I'm available to be coached is at night. Now, in the beginning, you may be available at night, and maybe that's what you want to do. But hello, you got to choose. If it's not working for you, it's not working, right? Okay, so what is the solution to this? Is boundaries, is boundaries, is boundaries. Tell people when you're available for what and hold to it. Is boundaries and is sufficiency. Like the question I ask myself, how can I get all my work done at work? For instance, for private practice owners, we have the Profitable Private Practice Movement. And if you're not a part of it, it is for you. Okay, EntreMD.com/movement. You need to be in it because this is where we focus on the 3 things that'll make any practice profitable. We focus on filling your schedule, helping you get paid for the work you do, and building a profitable team. Okay, so 3 major things, major. But anyway, the meeting we have every week is at 12 noon. And people are like, why isn't it in the evening? Because I'm like, because I want you to be trained to do your work at work. I don't want you coming to learn about your business in the evening. I don't want you to do that. I want you to do it in the middle of the day. It's a discipline, it's a new way of thinking, right? Okay, so when we talk about efficiency, so in this time block, how do I use this time block? For you, that may mean you leverage a scribe. For you, that may mean you leverage your team and you're really only doing what you do, what you can do. And the other stuff, your team is taking care of it so you can get more done in less time, right? You want to start thinking efficiency. How can I do this in less time? How can I do this in less time? How can I do this in less time? So that my work time is my work time and I'm able to spend my lifetime doing life stuff, right? And yes, of course, there'll be the exception to the rule someday when this happened, but it should be the exception. It should not be happening often and it should not be routine. So I want you to think about your practice, your business, your coaching business, whatever that is, right? Where you're not the only revenue generator. Multiple people are generating revenue. For most people, this feels like, I can breathe, right? Because now you're not the only person doing it. And that's what we teach you, like in the Profitable Private Practice Movement, is building a profitable team, like building a team that is generating revenue with you. Okay, so imagine a team where you're not the only revenue generator, you have multiple revenue generators. So if you decide to stop and breathe, the business did not stop. Imagine where you have multiple problem solvers, where 80%, 90%, 100% of your team members are problem solvers. So you don't have to bear the weight of troubleshooting everything. And then where you work hard when you're at work and you life hard when you're at life. You know what I mean? Like you get to do all that. Think about how more your practice, your business will be more peaceful. Your business most likely will be more profitable because you have more revenue generators and you have more problem solvers. Okay. You'll be able to disconnect, which most entrepreneurs cannot disconnect from their businesses. You'll be able to disconnect from your businesses, your business to recharge and all of that stuff. Just imagine what that will be like. That is fantastic. And it can be yours. It can be yours. I've done this with multiple companies. It can be yours. Okay. So I want to invite you to do an audit. Who are the revenue generators? Or am I the only revenue generator? Who are the problem solvers? Or am I the only problem solver? Like, do I have any boundaries? Do I have a work time? Or am I always working? Right? I want you to do that. And I want you to make the necessary changes. And I want you to start that journey, okay, of building a practice, of building a business that can work without you, where you own the business doesn't own you, where you don't create burnout, where you don't create a toxic work environment because you deserve it, okay? So I'm rooting for you. Go implement these. I can't wait to hear what you do in your business with these principles. Rooting for you always. See you on the next episode.